So to delve into the details of the two handbooks, I hand this over to Steph.
Thank you. Distinguished guests, industry participants, members of the media, and fellow colleagues, good morning, everyone. I'm Stephanie Tan, Head of Investor Development at Bursa, Malaysia. Today, we are thrilled to unveil our IR4U program, a result after months of engagement with various global and local IR practitioners and the investment community. Specifically, fundamentals and applications of investor relations bring the latest IR practices to PLCs, giving them an idea on what is IR, where should they start, and how to step up given increasing expectations from the investing community. I'll spend the next 10 minutes or so to walk you through both fundamentals and applications of investor relations. Ladies and gentlemen, as Dato' Umar has mentioned, today's investors are demanding more from the companies they invest in, and as ESG considerations climb up on the corporate agenda, investors are putting in place more stringent criteria before making investment decisions. As a result, there is a need for not only more disclosures, but also more proactive engagements between an investor relations officer, in short IRO, of a company, and the investors for the company's story to get out. Today, we would like to encourage PLCs without established IR functions to build up your IR capabilities. For companies with established IR practices, perhaps this would serve as a good opportunity for you to review and revisit your IR program for further enhancements. The fundamentals of investor relations outlines the integral part of an IR program, offering guidance in planning and building an IR program that fits individual companies' needs. While each company may have different sets of goals of an IR program, companies share similar targets, for instance, a loyal shareholder base and liquidity in company shares. Having achieved these targets would naturally put the company on the radar of more investors and ultimately help the company achieve fair valuation. The handbook starts by explaining the importance of fair valuation and its mechanism. We also include the common criteria used by investors in valuing a company, including current and prospective valuations of the business, company's future prospects, its goals and strategies, outlook of the sector, monopolistic and niche features, management and governance track records, broader economic influences, and competing investment opportunities. With so many factors to be considered in determining fair valuation, one way of setting benchmarks and gauging fair market valuation is through peer group comparison, both local and foreign counterparts. In the next chapters, we illustrate the investor landscape, segmentizing institutional and retail investors, their characteristics, and the most effective channels to engage them. These include the role of analysts and media, being the conduits between the company and investors for information flow. We also break down the type of fundamental investors based on 4 basic approaches, be it growth, income, value, or ESG investors, to help PLCs better understand various institutional investors and their respective focuses. This information would be useful in helping the company to target the right investors. Ladies and gentlemen, having understood the goals and key stakeholders of an IR program, it is time to put some thought into planning. In this chapter, we outline the process of planning an IR program, starting by analyzing the shareholders register and answering some key questions like, what is the relative weight of institutions versus retail investors? Is there a high concentration of shareholding on a single investor? How does the company's valuation and share liquidity compare to its peers? Is there any names in the shareholding register that would cause concern? Who is missing based on the desired shareholding mix? As the investing landscape evolves, an IRO needs to be more proactive in identifying investors whose investment criteria matches your company profile. Over here, an IRO can identify the shareholders' behavioral patterns, top buyers, sellers, holders. This information can then be used to analyze a company's share liquidity and free float. The outcome of this exercise is important for the management to identify and maintain relationship with loyal shareholders. Similarly, for the ones exiting or selling down, to understand the reasons and to take the necessary steps to retain them. These insights can then be translated into setting a realistic goal for an IR program, targeting the right investors to achieve the desired shareholding mix. Having set the target investors or audience and goals, it is time to put plan into action. A basic program can be built around the standard reporting calendar. Although reporting results and developments is a vital part of an IR program, arranging direct contact with investors and organizing events to keep the investment community properly informed about the performance and strategy is the most important aspect of executing an IR program. As such, we also recommend that an IRO is involved in the business and budget planning process and review, as well as board presentations, to keep himself or herself updated to effectively communicate the key messages to the investors. More importantly, we wish to highlight that IR is a two-way communication. Gathering feedback to understand investors' concerns on a company is as important as communicating performance and achievement. An IRO plays a vital role in setting the sustainability roadmap of a company by facilitating a materiality assessment to form a structured materiality matrix together with inputs from other stakeholders. Ladies and gentlemen, we understand that measuring success of an IR program can be difficult, as there are factors which affect an investor's interest in a company that are beyond the company's control. That said, we have outlined some of the common measurements that can be used in an IR program: growing shareholder base in line with management's aims, established institutional holding, ample share liquidity, inclusion into indices, broader analyst coverage, and better recommendations by analysts as compared to their peers, higher share price performance, and market capitalization. More importantly, a successful IR program would translate into a loyal shareholder base, more investor interest, higher liquidity, and sustainable growth. To entice some larger institutional investors, including foreign investors, larger companies should also look at index inclusion. An IRO can understand the criteria of index providers, assess the company's eligibility, and develop a plan with management to improve eligibility. In case of doubt, you can always engage Bursa Malaysia representatives on the criteria. We do various seminars on this, so do engage us. With the enhanced sustainability reporting requirements for main market-listed issuers being implemented for full year ending 31st December 2023 and after, the IRO will also need to develop ESG disclosure materials, integrate ESG into investor presentations, engage with ESG investors to understand their investment criteria, and lastly, monitor ESG trends to ensure that the company's disclosure practices are aligned with evolving investor expectations. Lastly, we have also developed the Applications of Investor Relations workbook to help companies in planning an IR program align with the fundamentals of investor relations. This would be a practical workbook serving as food for thought for an IRO to write down the fundamentals and future strategies of a company to form a strong, powerful message to the investment community. We also include some guidance on areas that may not have been taught by an IRO, such as comparative analysis to assess your company's position within the industry, index inclusion, guidance on communicating ESG efforts, step-by-step methods to assess your shareholding movement to facilitate your investor targeting efforts, and more. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope that our companies benefit from the new launches today. We also wish to note that our efforts in driving IR practices do not stop here. We have some exciting new launches coming up, including shareholding analysis and investor targeting tools, sectorial templates, sectorial workshops, and more. We also understand that some small companies wanting to be more proactive often struggle for attention. On that note, I would like to share that the Exchange has launched several initiatives like Bursa Research Incentive Scheme, Bursa RISE, in March 2021, to help improve companies' visibility and accessibility to the investors via research coverage. Bursa Blitz to help profile companies on the Exchange's platform via research and various articles. If you would like to find out more on these initiatives, do reach out to the Bursa Malaysia representatives. So before I wrap up the presentation today, I would just like to emphasize that IR should no longer be considered as a nice-to-have function, but rather one of the most critical functions of a company. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie, for coming out with these practical handbooks. As a communications practitioner, and I believe I can say this on behalf of my fellow counterparts as well, this is indeed a game changer.